Glory to Jesus Christ. Today is Monday, March 27th, the 29th day of the fast. I pray that everyone had a blessed feast of the Annunciation this weekend. I know that I did. I was able to visit our mission parish outside of Rolla, Missouri, and Archbishop Daniel was there, and what a wonderful celebration it was. So I feel quite uplifted throughout all of this weekend. So now we continue our homily from St. Cyril, the 18th homily on the words, and in one holy Catholic Church, and in the resurrection of the flesh, and the life everlasting. Friday, we heard the first portion of this, and as I said, we'll probably the next 2 weeks finish this particular homily, and so today is part 2 of it. If you remember back to Friday, St. Cyril was making the argument about the resurrection of the dead, and this will continue now as we read from him. But if, according to you, there is no resurrection of the dead, wherefore do you condemn the robbers of graves? For if the body perishes, and there is no resurrection to be hoped for, why does the violator of the tomb undergo punishment? You see that though you deny it with your lips, there yet abides with you an indestructible instinct of the resurrection. Further, does a tree, after it has been cut down, blossom again? And shall man, after being cut down, blossom no more? And does the grain sown and reaped remain for the threshing floor? And shall man, when reaped from this world, not remain for the threshing? And do shoots of vine or other trees, when clean cut off and transplanted, come to life and bear fruit? And shall man, for whose sake all these exist, fall into the earth and not rise again? Comparing efforts, which is greater, to mold from the beginning a statue which did not exist, or to recast in the same shape that which had fallen? Is God then, who created us out of nothing, unable to raise again those who exist and are fallen? But you believe not what is written of the resurrection. Being a Greek, then from the analogy of nature, consider these matters and understand them from what is seen to this day. Wheat, it may be, or some other kind of grain is sown, and when the seed has fallen, it dies and rots, and is henceforth useless for food. But that which has rotted springs up in verdure, and though small when sown, springs up most beautiful. Now wheat was made for us, for wheat and all seeds were created not for themselves, but for our use. Are then the things which were made for us quickened when they die? And do we for whom they were made not rise again after our death? The season is winter, as you see. The trees now stand as if they were dead. For where are the leaves of the fig tree? Where are the clusters of the vine? These in winter time are dead, but green in spring. And when the season is come, there is restored to them a quickening, as it were, from a state of death. For God, knowing your unbelief, works a resurrection year by year in these visible things, that beholding what happens to things inanimate, you may believe concerning things animate and rational. Further, flies and bees are often drowned in water, yet after a while revive, and a species of dormice, after remaining motionless during the winter, are restored in the summer. For to your slight thoughts like examples are offered. And shall he who to rational and despised creatures grants life supernaturally not bestow it upon us, for whose sake he made them? But the Greeks ask for a resurrection of the dead still manifest, and say that even if these creatures are raised, yet they had not utterly mouldered away, and they require to see distinctly some creature rise again after complete decay. God knew men's unbelief, and provided for this purpose a bird called a phoenix. This bird, as Clement writes, and as many more relate, being the only one of its kind, arrives in the land of the Egyptians at periods of 500 years, showing forth the resurrection, not in desert places, lest the occurrence of the mystery should remain unknown, but appearing in a notable city, that men might even handle what would otherwise be disbelieved. For it makes itself a coffin of frankincense and myrrh and other spices, and entering into this when its years are fulfilled, it evidently dies and moulders away. Then from the decayed flesh of the dead bird a worm is engendered, and this worm, when grown large, is transformed into a bird. And do not disbelieve this, for you see the offspring of bees also fashioned thus out of worms, and from eggs, which are quite fluid, you have seen wings and bones and sinews of birds issue. Afterwards, the aforesaid phoenix, becoming fledged and a full-grown phoenix like the former one, soars up into the air such as it had died, showing forth to men a most evident resurrection of the dead. The phoenix indeed is a wondrous bird, yet it is irrational, nor ever sang praise to God. It flies abroad through the sky, but it knows not who is the only begotten Son of God. Has then a resurrection from the dead been given to this irrational creature which knows not its Maker? And to us who ascribe glory to God and keep his commandments, shall there be no resurrection granted? And we'll stop there and pick up with St. Cyril again talking more about the resurrection of the dead tomorrow. Glory to Jesus Christ.